Coming up from the Northeast Live Studios in Guwahati, Northeast Tonight with Wasbir Hussain.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. The Naga peace talks is certainly at a critical stage now. It may not be wrong even to perhaps say it is at a make or break stage. The NSCN-IM today held a rare emergency meeting of its National Assembly where nearly 2,000 of its leaders representing the group's civil, parliamentary and military wings adopted a resolution saying they were not ready for any solution without a separate flag and constitution for the Nagas. The resolution was passed unanimously with the signatures of the top leadership during the National Assembly session that lasted 6 hours. The NSCN-IM, however, decided to continue being a part of the ongoing peace dialogue with the Government of India. At one stage in the past few days, particularly after the series of meetings in New Delhi with Naga peace interlocutor A.K. Mishra and others, the NSCN-IM had apparently decided not to engage in any further peace talks with the Government of India. It is because of this stand that Nagaland Chief Minister Nephew Rio and other top leaders of the core committee hurriedly met the NSCN-IM leadership led by Mr. V.S. Atam at Chamukidima on Saturday. The core committee mainly impressed upon the NSCN-IM to continue with the dialogue in view of New Delhi's keenness to resolve the issue honorably. Again, yesterday, ahead of today's National Assembly meet, a delegation of the Naga Students Federation met the NSCN-IM leadership. We understand that the NSF too told the NSCN-IM leadership of the need to go ahead with the dialogue till an acceptable solution is arrived at. Several questions arise. How will New Delhi respond now that the NSCN-IM has once again thrown the ball back at the court of the Government of India? Can the NSCN-IM withdraw from the peace process after initiating it and being a part of it for 25 years if New Delhi does not agree to its flag and constitution demand? Is the NSCN-IM actually prepared for such an eventuality, that of withdrawing from the peace talks itself? Can the Government of India sign a possible Naga peace deal without the NSCN-IM? Is the NSCN-IM prepared to walk the extra mile and accept the Government of India's purported offer of letting the use of the Naga flag for cultural purposes and to ensure a reflection of the Naga statute or the Yazabo in the Indian Constitution as stated by Nagaland's ruling alliance leaders like Mr. Azo Nenu? To discuss all of these and more, I am joined from Kohima by Mr. Azo himself, co-chairman of the ruling United Democratic Alliance in Nagaland and a senior NPF leader. Academic and advisor of the Naga Mothers Association, Dr. Rosemary Zuvisu, is also with me from Kohima. Joining me from Dimapur is Kahuto Chisi Sumi, a Sumi village chief, commentator and activist. And also with me is Mr. K.K. Sema, a former IAS officer and currently a well-known commentator. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. Let me first go straight to you, Mr. Azo. Being the only representative of the government, you are the co-chairman of the ruling United Democratic Alliance government in Nagaland. Now, we are meeting tonight on a very crucial day when the NSCN-IM Emergency National Assembly that was attended by nearly 2,000 representatives of its civil, military and parliamentary wing adopted a resolution with signatures of the top leaders saying that they would not agree to any solution without a separate flag and constitution. they have, of course, the NSCN-IM has, of course, decided to continue with the dialogue process. Now, what is your first reaction?
You see, there were a lot of speculation that they might call off the peace talks or they might abrogate ceasefire. But the decision they have taken is appreciated because they wanted to continue with the peace talks. Because the IM, they have stated that they will stand by the national principles and that no solution will take place without flag and constitution. So I believe the ball was in their court, but now they have shifted the ball to the Government of India's court. So it is up to the Government of India whether they would like to consider the flag and the constitution. Thank you.
Mr. Azo, the NSCN-IM could not have been more clear. It's not 100, not 200, but nearly 2,000 of its leaders representing the civil, parliamentary and military wing attended today's meeting, today's Emergency National Assembly.
Right.
Now, it appears to someone like me observing the Naga peace talks from outside, it appears that the NSCN-IM is absolutely clear. They are not going to compromise on their demand for a flag and constitution. Now, where is the meeting point?
Right.
Do you see a meeting point now?
For me, I don't see a meeting point. I think there will be a stalemate in the talks.
So, Mr. Azo
That is what I see.
Right. I'll come back to you to expand on this. Let me take the opening remarks of my other esteemed panelists tonight. Dr. Rosemary Zuvitsu, a well-known academic and an advisor to the Naga Mothers Association, someone who has been a facilitator of Naga peace for a long, long time. Dr. Rosemary, you know, the NSCN's decision today at the end of the 6-hour-long National Assembly to continue with their demand for a flag and constitution, they are saying that this is the national principle which they would like to stick to. And Mr. Azo saying that he feels that this could lead to a stalemate. Now, do you think the NSCN-IM had no alternative? Do you think that they were well within their rights to continue with this demand for a flag and constitution, which they had categorically stated even earlier to be their core issue?
Yeah, Wasbir. If you remember the last discussion that we had, I think we had talked about the flag and the constitution, which is continuously being faced by the NSCN. And I think the government needs to realize that this is a valid issue.
We have an audio issue. We have an audio issue with you. Rose, I'm coming to you in a minute. I have fixed that audio with you. There is an audio issue. I want to have a very clear cut because your views are very, very important. Okay. Now, before coming, I'm coming to you, Mr. K.K. Sema. Let me go to Mr. Kahuto Chisi Sumi, Sumi Village Chief and Commentator. Mr. Kahuto Sumi, how do you make, what do you think is going to happen now? The NSCN has made its stand very clear.
Good evening, Mr. Hussain. I'm not surprised at the developments because the talk of the flag and constitution is a recent issue. It popped up only in October of 2018, if I'm not mistaken. The real issue is the competencies which the IM talks about. Now, Mr. K.K. Sema, I must be given credit for bringing up this issue in the past. What I believe, and I have reason to believe, is that there will be no solution, at least on the side of the NSCN-IM, as long as the Manipuri Nagas do not have some sort of legal status in the state of Nagaland. That is the sticking point.
So You think, Mr. Kahoto Somi, you also think that there is going to be a stalemate now?
Yes, yes. Because India, the government of India is caught between a rock and a hard place. It cannot grant any sort of legal status to the Manipuri Nagas without the consent of the Nagas of Nagaland. And the Nagas of Nagaland
No,
will
why?
not be willing to grant, yes, will not
You
be willing to grant any legal status without territorial integration. Now the
so
question to,
so who
I
is the
put to the
who are
NSCN-IM,
the what is the stumbling block? What is the stumbling block?
the legal status of the Manipuri Nagas in the state of Nagaland. That is what I believe is a stumbling block. It is not a flag, it is not a constitution. Because I have said that the NSCN constitution is a constitution based on the Chinese Communist constitution. And again, credit must be given to Mr. K.K. Sema for bringing out the powers of the president, Yarawo. And that is based on the North Korean system of dictatorship.
All right. Let me. I have the audio with Dr. Rosemary Zuvitso right now. Dr. Rosemary, your comments. How do you see? Okay, okay. Don't have the audio again with Dr. Rosemary. Let me go to let me go to Mr. K.K. Sema. Mr. K.K. Sema, what do you think of the NSCN-IM's decision today? What is going to happen now?
Look, as far as NSA are concerned, they are sticking the flag years ago as a basis for finding solution. I think the problem lies with the fact that CNI are conducting all the negotiations with complete non-transparency. Nobody knows who is actually asking what. And it is not a surprise that we already know that even within the NCN, just a handful of their
Oh, we have got poor audio.
leaders only know some aspect of the competency clauses, but the majority in the party doesn't know exactly what is going on. And as long as the system waiver dictates the terms, they all fall in line. And so I think the problem here is
I have
whether
to
the
stop you. I have to stop you, Mr. KK Soma. I have to stop you. I have to stop you. Because we have got an audio problem. Dr. Rosemary, can you hear me now?
Yes, Wasbir, can you hear me?
I can, but let me try. Yes, you make your opening remarks. What do you think of today's decision by the NSCN-IM? I asked my producers to fix this audio, otherwise it's very difficult to continue with the conversation. Yes, Dr. Rosemary.
Yeah, Wasbir, I think today's decision of the NSCN-IM is as expected because they've made their point very clear as to where they stand with the flag and the constitution. And I think I would differ from the gentleman who had just spoken because the question here is a negotiation between the NSCN-IM and the government of India. I think it is really not the time to be really bringing in so many issues about Manipur Nagas because the reality of the Naga situation is that Nagas beyond borders, wherever we are, the peace process looks into all these issues, whether it's the agreed position or whether it's a framework agreement. I think we are looking at all these issues. So, in the first place, I really wouldn't like to be petty on that. Secondly, I would also be very clear that I am positive that the government of India is serious and will be seriously looking at these two issues. We may be surprised in the coming days by having the flag as well as the Yazabo. The Yazabo, which actually is a part of every Naga political group, and that is something that the government of India has to understand. Right from the NNC days, we've had the Yazab, so it's nothing new with the NSC. And I think I'm positive. I would defer with us. I don't think we're going to see a stalemate. The government of India has also been looking at it. And I think with the coming in, also Mr. Himanta Biswa Sharma into the scene, we
Right.
may see changes in the coming days.
Right. Let me, I don't know whether Mr. KK Sema's audio is fixed or not. We'll fix and go to you in a minute, but let me once again go to Mr. Ajo. Mr. Ajo, you said a couple of days ago on our channel, you said that the government of India has agreed to give the flag, let the use of the flag, but for cultural purposes only. And you had also stated that the government of India is ready to give a reflection of the Yazabo or the Naga constitution in the Indian constitution. There will be some kind of a reflection of the Yazabo in the Indian constitution. Now, today's decision by the NSCN appears to have rejected that. Until a full use of the flag and constitution is granted, the NSCN appears to be in no mood to accept a solution. Is that the reason why you were saying that there will be a stalemate now?
Yes. You see, both the government of India and NSCN-IM should try to find a meeting point. But they're not trying to. At least somewhere down the line, I feel government of India is quite reasonable and they're trying to go out of the constitution to fulfill the NSIN demands. But if NSCN-IM does not budge a bit, then there'll be a stalemate. And when there is a stalemate, we're heading for more trouble. And what are those troubles that we foresee? More confusion, more extortion, the publics will be harassed. So more troubles are ahead. Thank you.
Now, what will be the role of the core committee, Mr. Azo? What will be the role of the core committee? Is the core committee meeting tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, on 2nd, we're meeting Himanta Biswa, Chief Minister of Assam.
The meeting is taking place in Guwahati or in Kohima?
In Dimapur, Naithu Resort at 6 p.m.
Okay, so are you suggesting, Mr. Azo, that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, the Chief Minister of Assam and convener of NEDA, will he now be an active facilitator? Will he play an active role from now on?
You see, when we talk about Naga issue, it reflects all other neighboring states, Assam, Arunachal and Manipur. And so it's good to have them rope in and discuss the issue with them also. It will be a great help.
Are you also discussing?
And moreover, he is the chairman of the NEDA.
Right. Are you also having discussions with Pema Khandu of Arunachal Pradesh and Biren Singh of Manipur?
That too, I'm not aware.
Right.
I'm not aware, but in the later stage, they must also be consulted.
Right. The big breaking story at this point is that the core committee on Naga peace talks is going to meet Assam Chief Minister and NEDA convener Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma in Dimapur on 2nd of June. That is the big breaking story. This is the big breaking on Northeast Tonight. The core committee to meet Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma in Dimapur on the 2nd of June. And let me tell our viewers that during Saturday's core committee meeting, the core committee had told the NSCN-IM that they are keen on the active involvement of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma as far as the Naga peace talks are concerned. Now, I understand that I have Mr. KK Sema with me now. Mr. KK Sema, sorry, you had an audio problem when I wanted to have your opening remarks. Now, how do you look at the NSCN's decision to hold on to stick to its demand of a flag and constitution. Do you think that is going to lead to a total deadlock?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the issue of flag and the Yazabo is a question that they have to clarify exactly how they intend to use that, because there's a huge area of distrust that has come up in the fashion in which the flag will represent a Naga nation without an integration, and that significance of the flag disappears and become irrelevant if all the Naga inhabited areas are not brought together into a formal union, an integrated situation. In the absence of integration, I think the flag is meaningless if it is planted in Nagaland, and that would signify the nationhood of the Nagas living everywhere else beyond the state of Nagaland, and they would want to have equal rights with the Nagas of Nagaland while enjoying their own privileges under a special autonomous territorial council, and at the same time enjoy the privileges with the state of Nagaland. So the flag in itself is, at this particular point in time, something that the Nagas of Nagaland may have to think rather seriously as to whether their flag is intended only to ensure that the southern Naga brothers would find a foothold in the state of Nagaland. Otherwise, the significance of a national flag minus integration is zero. As far as the Yazabo is concerned, we do also believe that there has to be a clear identity defined in whatever manner as a Yazabo within or outside the Indian Constitution, where the rights, our dignity, our citizenship are also recognized at equal level, not as secondary citizens of any country or any establishment. So here the question is whether the NSCN-IM would like to clarify exactly what that flag is all about minus integration. And if they are going to stick by that flag and Yazabo, they are going to have to clarify a whole lot of situation to the stakeholders. Otherwise, it is now becoming more apparent that it is more a ploy for the southern brothers to want to have a foothold strongly in Nagaland post-solution, and going by the yardstick saying they will enjoy their own privilege in their own territory exclusively, but will share the rights and responsibilities even within the state.
Right.
So here is the crucial philosophy that I have been writing about again and again.
Yes.
The Southern Brothers philosophy is
mine.
Please, Mr. Just listen to this last bit. The philosophy of our Southern brothers is to say that whatever belongs to them is theirs, but whatever belongs to me is going to be shared by everybody. Mine is mine, yours is ours. That philosophy will never work for the people of Nagaland.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. K.K. Sharma has just written a long article in one of the newspapers. I will come to you, Mr. Kahuto Chisisumi. I'm coming to you in a minute. Let me get a response. Dr. Rosemary, do you have a do you have a contrary view? Because Mr. K.K. Sharma is saying that, you know, if the flag is meaningless without an integration, that is what he is saying. And he's saying that if there is an agreement on this phase, what the NSCN-IM is pushing for, the southern Nagas will have enjoyed autonomy. If they get a territorial council or whatever autonomy they get, they will enjoy that. At the same time, they will try to take a share, pound of flesh from Nagaland also. Now, how do you look at it, the issue of the flag particularly?
Wasbir, for the last few days, we have been seeing a number of opinions come out, including a long article from Mr. K.K. Sema himself. I can understand many of the feelings of our men and our other groups that have been expressed in the media few days. One, we really need to understand that for all Nagas, the Naga flag has been the national flag since the time the movement started. It is not a flag that is exclusively for Nagas of Nagaland, but it is a flag that talks and speaks about us and our identity and struggle that we move. One. Secondly, I think to really understand the situation, we also look at fear from many quarters on what is going to happen if the NSCN really get things done. We need to understand for 25 years negotiation has been going on. The government of India is very clear on the stalemate that they faced. The government of India, I strongly believe, is also well advised by many people who have solved these kind of issues even in other countries. So the demand for a flag, even a constitution, which will
The
incorporate
audio is
Naga
not clear
rights
at all.
and
Yes, the audio is not clear. The audio is not clear of Dr. Rosemary. We have to take the audio on the phone. Are we taking it on the phone? So audio
yes,
is, so let's try the Skype audio in that case. Let's try the Skype audio. Let's try the Skype audio. In the meantime, you know, I'm sorry because we are not getting a proper audio from Dr. Rosemary. I might have to take a break. But Kahuto Sisi Sumi, would you not agree that a lot of people are saying that the NSCN-IM is not being reasonable? But would you not agree that the NSCN-IM is discussing with the government of India? They have almost, there is no issue of an integration as such as of now. There is going to be a solution as we understand within the ambit of the Indian Constitution. Then why should you reject the idea of a flag and constitution? The NSCN-IM would argue that the flag and constitution are dear to the Naga people. But there is other opinion, as Mr. K.K. Sama says, that this is meaningless without integration. What do you think?
Mr. Hussain, let us be clear that there are two Naga constitutions. The first constitution is the NNC-FGN constitution, which is a parliament based on the parliamentary democracy.
Yeah.
The NSCN constitution is a communist constitution based on the Chinese Communist Party. So which constitution are we talking about?
God. Right. What
You
constitution?
should ask all, no, sir, I suggest that before we discuss a constitution, you ask all members if they are aware of the NSCN constitution and if they are willing to abide by it, especially the Naga Oho, the NMA, NSF, NPHR, Global Naga, and this overseas Nagas. You ask them, are they aware of the NSCN constitution? Are they willing to abide by the terms of the NSCN constitution? Because we're talking about a constitution and we don't know what the constitution is. So please ask them that. Then we can move further on.
Okay.
I said it earlier that the only sticking point is the legal status of the Manipuri Nagas in Nagaland. If that is granted by the government of India or by the state government or by the people of Nagaland, then this whole issue will resolve itself. But until that day comes, until the Manipuri Nagas are willing to come out openly asking for such a status,
Yeah.
this solution will be the opium of the masses.
Okay. Do you have the audio to Dr. Rosemary fixed? Okay, Rosemary, I'm really sorry today. This is the problem of working in the Northeast. Our audios, our internet system connectivity is poor. Lot of the infrastructure, lot of things needs to be tackled because this is the hazard of locational disadvantage that we all have, you and I both together. Now, yes, but everybody is making the point. I'm coming to you, Dr. Azon, before I go for a short break, but let me have a clear-cut statement from Dr. Rosemary. Dr. Rosemary, a lot of people are describing the NSCN-IM as being unreasonable. Mr. K.K. Sama said that integration is not there, therefore the flag is meaningless. Then Mr. Kahuto C.C. Sumi is saying that, the Manipuri Nagas legal status, what is the legal status of the Manipuri Nagas? Because they want to have the cake and eat it too. So what do you think, how would you respond actually? Okay, we'll go for a short break. Let's fix everything and come back in 2 minutes after this very short break. Okay, welcome back to the show. Notice tonight we are discussing the Naga peace talks at a very critical day. I have just got the NSCN-IM statement with me. NSCN-IM's chairman Q Tuku's address. We have just got the NSCN chairman's address. I just like to read out only one sentence. Mr. Q Tuku, the NSCN-IM chairman, has said, "How can we forfeit Naga national flag and Naga Constitution in the name of the Naga political solution? How can we forfeit Naga national flag and Naga Constitution in the name of the Naga political solution?" That critical one line explains everything. Now, Mr. Azo, they said that how can we forfeit Naga national flag and Naga Constitution? Would you not appreciate the fact that in the last 25 years that the NSCN-IM has been negotiating with the government of India, I think they have been reasonable enough not to talk of an independent Naga nation, not to talk in so many words about integration, that these are the differences that have been sorted out. Now the NSCN-IM may argue, why also not give us our flag, which is a symbol, and the constitution? That may be a strong argument from the NSCN-IM side. How would you respond to that?
I fully agree with them and their sentiments. I know they cannot forfeit the flag and constitution. But what we mean to say is, if they are serious, they should try to come to a meeting point, because government of India is going all out of the way to come to a meeting point. So somewhere down the line, I am also should try to find a meeting point. But I think in all fairness, our IM brothers are not very serious about the peace talks.
Mr. KK Sema, where is the meeting point now? Let us be objective. Let us look at it with an open mind. Now, where is the meeting point? Do you see a meeting point?
Look, the important thing that I would like to say is, for the last 24 years, 5 years, whatever has been discussed between the Government of India and the NSCN-IM, have the Government of India or even the NSCN-IM been honest to the stakeholders? We know nothing of what's going on. NSCN-IM has been talking half-truth all the time. Now it has come to a point where we don't know whether it is the previous interlocutor, Mr. Arun Ravi, is telling a lie, or is the NSCN-IM telling a lie? Because for the last 25 years, they have had threadbare discussions and then arrived at a framework agreement. Obviously, there has been some ground level understanding, but what is that understanding? IM is not telling anything substantially to the Nagas, and every time we have been saying, for heaven's sake, we are the stakeholders. Please keep us in your faith. Keep us in your trust. Or at least let us have you in our trust by being open to us. They have not opened up on anything other than just only say whatever they want to say without actually balancing it out with what the Government of India is saying. Now, when Government of India says something, they must have agreed at certain basic principles, but they are afraid to admit it now. Is that the fact, or what is the reality? You see, here lies the responsibility for NSC and IM to come out openly and let us know exactly what are they asking for. The moment the stakeholders know, there is every possibility that the stakeholders will solidly stand behind them for any given issue. But they have to be honorably honest with the Nagas, especially the Nagas of Nagaland. Because this philosophy of sovereignty began from the people of Nagas of Nagaland, not Manipuri Nagas. And so I think the onus and the responsibility of the final solution also lies with the stakeholders, and the NSA and IM have a responsibility.
Okay, I have
to open up with
right,
us.
Mr. Sema, hold on, Dr. Rosemary. There are two things I would like to ask you. Is there a meeting point or not? First of all, let's get a reply from you on this. Now, NSCN saying that we have to get the flag and constitution. Without that, there is no question of signing any agreement or no question of a solution. Now, Mr. Azo is saying that Government of India is keen, so there has to be a meeting point. If there is no meeting point, there will be a deadlock. So, is there a meeting point to your mind? In your mind, do you think there is a meeting point?
Wasbir, I think they are well aware of the stalemate discussions and have taken place. But definitely, there has to be a meeting point. And from what I see, I really reiterate again, the Government of India is well aware of examples across the world where such kind of things have taken place, where you have the flag, a working constitution that is worked into perhaps the Indian constitution. I heard the GB talking about whether the civil society has seen the NSC constitution. The constitution we're looking at and talking about is definitely a working constitution that will protect Naga rights and identity, our laws, Naga laws, and I think a lot of this can be incorporated with support of everyone. It definitely should be worked like in other countries, worked with mandate and approval of the others. Secondly, it is also important to understand the rest of the Nagas beyond border, whether in Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, parts of Assam, they are actually all waiting for these protests to be resolved. And therefore, at this point in time, I do not want to be sectarian. I disagree with the two gentlemen who are insisting on that, many others. I think as a peacemaker, as someone who has been working with the Naga mothers to bring
Okay.
everyone together, it is very important to think beyond borders. We cannot be sectarian at this point in time, I'm sorry.
Right, right. We will stick to the phone audio, and Mr. Kahuto, I mean, if there is no meeting point, that means if there is no meeting point, then 25 years of negotiations will go waste. What is going to happen to the generations of Naga youths? Now, do you think the ball is with the government of India or the ball is with the NSCN-IM? Because today the NSCN-IM decision has once again pushed the ball into the court of the government of India. But there are some people who say that it is not in the court of the government of India, rather it is in the court of the NSCN-IM. Which one would you like to buy?
I subscribe to neither. My opinion is it is in the hands of the people of Nagaland. We have to voice out what we want. Now, if we voice out what we want, if we elect legislators who will listen to our voice, then this movement will die down. Because right now, Nagaland has become a land of kushi kushi. Everybody does what he wants. And there's no governance. So this is why this thing, multiple factions are forming. As of now, there are 16 factions in Nagaland. So
Right.
we'll keep on forming new factions until we decide what we need. Because India cannot give us anything if they don't know what we need. And we don't. I've said it before on your channel that we don't have a united voice.
Right.
The impasse with the IM can be solved if the people of Manipur agree to the territorial integration of the Naga inhabited areas. But that is not going to happen because the Nagas of Manipur, they are comfortable with the things within the state of Manipur. It is only the NSN-IM and its supporters who are putting forth this narrative, which is not reflected on the ground. So
Okay.
without that, you cannot expect the people of Nagaland to give them any accommodation within the state of Nagaland.
Okay, let's try
common
to
sense.
bring you what is the NSCN said in their press release. Let's have it on the TP what the NSCN said in the press release, because that is very important for the viewers to know. Okay, Mr. Azu Neno, Mr. Azu, one thing. Now, I mean, you said that the ball is in the court of the government of India. Now, government of India is supposed to have allowed the Naga flags used for cultural purposes. The government of India is supposed to have said that we will allow a reflection of the Yazabo or the Naga constitution in the Indian constitution. But the problem is the government of India has also not come out with a clear statement. Neither interlocutor has also not come out with a clear statement. Let's have the
Mr.
highlights of
Wasbir.
the press release, for God's sake. Yes. Yes.
Mr. Wasbir, I said the ball is in the court of IM, or IM brothers, NSN-IM. But they have now recently shifted the ball into the government of India's court. Now I want to share one of my views with you.
Yes.
In my frequent interaction with our IM brothers, there can be a meeting point if both Government of India and NSCN-IM share the same views or have the same interpretation of framework agreement. Because what I see is Government of India has a different interpretation in regard to framework agreement, and our NSCN-IM brothers also have a different interpretation of framework agreement. So if they come and sit together at the table, and if they can have the same views of the framework agreement, they can come to an agreement. That is what I feel. Or rather, that is what I have seen.
I am extending this debate by a few minutes, but Mr. KK Sama, now you know what is going to happen. Now, basically that, you know, the flag and constitution seems to be the sticking point. NSCN-IM has made it absolutely clear after today's meeting attended by 2,000 of its leaders that they are not going to budge. Now, can there be an agreement without the NSCN-IM?
I think the government of India has already dwelt upon that issue way back in 2019. But I think better senses prevailed, because if they concluded a solution or an agreement with only the working group, let's say, who are in negotiation with them, it will end up to be a controversial conclusion as long as the issue of sovereignty and integration keeps alive by parties that do not sign.
Plate. I want it on the half plate. Yes.
So
I want it on
Government of
TP.
India signing an agreement with one party is counterproductive, and if such a thing happens, we will be taking back the clock to 1957, 56. We'll be back to the war, because the basic subject matter of sovereignty, integration, all of this will stay alive and will be kept alive by those who do not sign. And therefore, our situation will never be concluded. So I think it would be a waste of time signing an agreement with just a group leaving out another.
Right. Okay, we have to use outdated technology sometimes because, you know, we have to read out from the press release. Just a minute. Viewers, after more than 7 decades of, this is the speech, this is the address by Mr. Q Tuku, the chairman of the NSCN-IM. Let's set everybody on the screen. There is no point in giving the press release here. Let's get everybody on the screen. After more than 7 decades of Naga freedom movement, we are faced with the political exigencies that compelled us to call for this National Assembly. That's what Mr. Q Tuku has said. How can we forfeit Naga national flag and Naga constitution in the name of Naga political solution? What belongs to us that define our political identity can never be compromised for the sweet morsel in the name of Naga political settlement. Now, these are some of the points which Mr. Q Tuku has said, and this is the backdrop against which that resolution was adopted today, that that there will be no solution without the flag and constitution. Do you think that has brought the Naga situation back to square one? Dr. Rosemary, 25 years is a long time, quarter of a century.
Yes, Wasbir. And I think whatever detractors, whatever opinions have been going on in the weeks and months, I think it is very clear that the NSCN-IM will stand on the conditions that they have put forward. I see in the coming days, the government of India negotiate, hopefully looking at examples around the world and coming in to solve and resolve uh, this long drawn process, and especially with the head Himanta Biswa. I don't know how many realize the Assam situation. The very fact that the deputy interlocutor of the Assam government is actually a Rotary Peace scholar, someone who's trained in peace and conflict studies. Unfortunately, we don't have that within the Naga society. And therefore, all kinds of theories and assumptions, presuppositions coming up. I'm positive. I really am looking ahead to having a resolution. We may surprisingly have a plan, we may have working constitution being agreed to, and many of these intellectual citizens can also contribute to it. We probably have some form of integration into it, something that is really unexpected may happen in the coming days.
Okay. Okay, I once again urge an appeal to our producers to fix the audio with Rosemary because it's very difficult. We have to take only one audio. Only one audio has to work. Either it is the phone audio or it is the Skype audio. Let us decide. Okay, Mr. Kahuto, now back to square one. Do you get a sense that the things have come back to square one?
No, there's been some progress in the sense that we now understand what is being asked for. So, this progress, and let us see how things develop. Because until the people concerned understand what is at stake, nothing can be resolved. 2000 seems a good number, looking at today, but not as good as a few hundred thousands now, which is the population of Nagaland. So there's been progress because now we have the 7 MPGs, we have General Leakey's group, and of course IM. And the government of India is aware of all their various demands. So I understand the government of India is trying to juggle all the separate demands. But the sticking point, as I said earlier, is the status of the IM cadres, cadres in Naga.
Mr. Azo, you know, this address by Mr. Q Tuku today at the National Assembly, where he has used words like, you know, NSCN-IM, the frontline torch bearers of Naga political movement, shall stand the ground till the last man standing. And he has said that we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome, but we shall overcome someday. That means the NSCN-IM is preparing itself for a long haul, further long haul. So, are you getting that sense? I am getting the sense that they are in a totally uncompromising mood as far as the flag and constitution is concerned. And they are saying that we shall stand the ground till the last man standing and we shall overcome someday.
Those words have a mixed feelings, because one side they have not taken any stand but to continue the talks and stand by the flag and constitution. But if they really want to take a stand, they should call off the talks or abrogate ceasefire. Those words are similar to like abrogating ceasefire, but it is not. So I think it has mixed feelings about those statements. It's a mixed feelings.
But Mr. Azo, in the last 2 days, the NSCN-IM is very upset with some of the leaders, perhaps including, that may include you, I don't know, for speaking out bluntly. You have spoken out, then Mr. Y. Patton has also spoken out very, very categorically in the last few days. So
Right.
they may be upset with some of the political leaders for speaking directly.
Yes. Or on the day, they have highlighted they were not very happy with Mr. Patton and me, but nevertheless, at the end of the day, we compromised and we decided to work together for a solution.
Right. That is a good thing because everybody wants a solution. Actually, everybody wants a solution. Yeah, that is a
Right.
good thing. That is a positive movement. Now, Mr. Sema, how do you see these words? The front NSCN-IM members, the frontline torch bearers of Naga political movement, shall stand the ground till the last man standing. And let us, however, believe that we shall overcome someday. I have just picked up two sentences from one long paragraph. How do you read this statement, this message by the NSCN-IM? One would get a sense that they are preparing for a long haul.
Well, let me be very blunt. Mr. Tuku probably may not even know what he's saying out there. These are thought processes of our southern brothers, and I say that in as far as the Nagas of Nagaland are concerned, it is time that the NSCN-IM talk to the Nagas with an upfront situation clearly telling us what they have achieved, what they have not achieved, and where the Nagas can coordinate, cooperate, and stand with them only when they open up honestly and let the people make the decision as to things that they are saying in that. Because as far as the world knows, NSCN-IM's top echelon, which is all our southern Naga brothers from Manipur, they make all decisions, and down the line, the Nagas of Nagaland, even within the NSCN-IM, doesn't know what is happening. So I think it's about time that the Nagas, in general, must, as a stakeholder, be clearly made aware of whatever is the difficulties that NSCN-IM is facing, and when they are honest with the stakeholders, it is the stakeholders who will sway the issue as to whether we take the last man standing position or to look at a certain perspective where we can see greater future even without the flag or maybe Yazabo, or if it is to be with flag or Yazabo, it has to be on the honorable principle within which the Nagas must all feel equal. We cannot feel a slave to our southern Manipuri brothers. The manner in which the peace discussion is going on, the bottom line that I have written about is we have become seriously distrustful of the general schemes and designs that NSCN-IM is structuring as of now. So
Now,
when
let me-
we cannot have faith in them, we will not stand with them, whether they are the last man standing or not. The important thing is for them to stand honorably and transparently with the Nagas as a starting point, and from there on, we can take it forward to the government of India, in whichever fashion as it may.
Dr. Rosemary, in the last 25 years, there have been several occasions where there were a lot of issues where a lot of people thought that the ceasefire was going to be abrogated. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking during the last 25 years. During that position, people like you have walked the extra mile. You have crossed over into Myanmar. You have met leaders from all factions and tried to keep the peace process on track. But now, honestly, do you see the NSCN-IM hardening its position, toughening its position, making it really a little bit more difficult for a solution, really?
Wasbir, I don't think, no matter whatever opinions are being expressed, I think we need to remember that not only the citizens of all Naga areas, but even these themselves want peace. And therefore, I see them taking a stand that Naga lights, Naga flag, and if not, we know what is about to come.
I have real luck with Rosemary today. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So now, Mr. Kahuto, do you see it as a hardening of stand? Do you see it as a toughening of stand by the NSCN-IM?
No, I don't see it as such. Because the success of any insurgency depends on the support of the public. And it is very well how much support they have, either in Manipur, Nagaland, or so words are grandiose, but will it be reflected in reality? That will fight the last man, they will stand the last man. So I don't like want to comment because many of the people in Nagaland, we believe we know what they want, and the reasons why this solution is dragging on. If you go back and look at the framework agreement, the word competencies is the sticking point. There's no mention of a flag or constitution. And prior to 2019, I don't think the flag and constitution were ever mentioned. So let's see how far it goes, how far people blinded by the solution, blinded from the truth by the solution, the word solution. So I don't have much to say on it.
Right. So, Mr. Sema, basically, what do we expect now? What is the road ahead according to you? What is going to happen? Because 25 years is a long time, isn't it? We cannot just waste it away.
No, let me say one thing clearly. The delay that happens will be in the interest of the NSNIM because they have every mechanism of taxation and extortion so snugly in position that no matter how many years it takes, they are more than prepared to go through that because their survival is already on a firm base. And therefore, no matter what, they will demand what the government of India is unprepared to give. That is the suspicious feeling that the Nagas of Nagaland have seriously begun to feel. And therefore, the point that I've been making again and again is that NSCN-IM needs to come out openly to let our people know exactly what they are trying to do and convince us first. Otherwise, there is no meeting point for the government of India and the NSCN-IM as it stands. And it is in the interest of the IM themselves to keep it hanging around. This is where the public of Nagaland especially are tired. We want a fast solution, but we want to know the truth first, what they are asking for. So the moment that happens, they will have the full momentum of the people behind them for the government of India also to see exactly where lies the actual need for a solution. Even government of India will see things more clearer. But IM has to clear that atmosphere environment with the Nagas, especially the Nagas of Nagaland. We are losing a lot of faith in them.
So, Mr. Azo, I'm coming to you, Dr. Rosemary. I understand you are on the phone line. I'll come to you in a minute. Mr. Azo, what will be the agenda for the discussions with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma on the 2nd of June?
Most probably will be seeking his advices only and his views.
Right. And the core committee's challenges have only increased, isn't it? You have an increasing challenge now in view of the latest stand of the NSCN-IM.
I wouldn't say the challenges has increased. In fact, now solution and settlement is a distant dream.
Okay, solution and settlement is a distant dream, a very, very clear-cut statement. I have seen a sudden, clear-cut statements coming from various leaders in Nagaland, whether it is political leaders, whether it is civil society leaders, whether it is individuals. Dr. Rosemary, toughening of stand by the NSCN-IM, because I am asking you, repeating this question to you, because I am hoping you have a good line now. So, a lot of people would see this as a hardening of position by the NSCN-IM. So, as Mr. Azo said, a solution is now a distant dream.
Wasbir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think the stand of the NSCN-IM is expected, but I would still say I'm positive. The coming days,
Please put your speaker off. Rose, put your speaker off. Your speaker, put your speaker off.
I put it off.
Something is on. You have to put the Skype off. From our end, we can put the Skype off.
Skype is off.
Okay. Okay. Now, no, that is the point. What Mr. Azo said. I just have few more minutes. I just have about 10 more minutes to end the program. No, Mr. Azo said that solution is a distant dream. Solution is a distant dream. Mr. K.K. Sema, solution is a distant dream. That means we have totally wasted 25 years.
It appears to be so. And in the 25 years, what has been going on, NSCN-IM has been only sharing half the truth. This is the problem. My look at the whole situation is, it is for the NSCN-IM to at least let the stakeholders know what they are demanding, and they get the full backup with the Government of India in whichever way it may be, and that would give Government of India a clearer picture of what the Nagas' whole situation looks like. That is where the step-by-step momentum needs to take place, but NSCN-IM's non-transparent approach to the subject matter is creating more doubts, more suspicion, and the lack of or the loss of trust in them, because the only thing that the people are seeing now is that they want to prolong the negotiation basically because they are comfortable with the ground realities of their extortion. That's the kind of feeling seriously that has emanated in the grassroots levels. So here, if they want the momentum to go ahead, they've got to open up with the stakeholders and take their blessings and go forward. Beyond that, if they do not do that, the suspicion and the distrust will overflow into a rebellious situation, in fact, against them. So here the Government of India have opened up whatever they have to. It is for the NSCN-IM to evaluate the reality and share the truth with the people. That's about the process or the proceeding that I believe is the only way out here in order that we find some kind of a solution. The stakeholders have to be brought on board.
is there time to bring stakeholders on board now, Mr. Kahuto? But we must also look at the positive side. The NSCN-IM has decided to continue with the dialogue. One continues with the dialogue because NSCN-IM perhaps also believes that they can reach a meeting point. Otherwise, they would have called off the talks, isn't it? We can also look at it from that point of view.
Are you addressing this one?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay. In the first place, let me address that a lot of progress has been achieved
Yes.
because now everyone is aware of everyone's stand. Everyone is aware of what they want, except as Mr. KK said, the IM are hiding their competencies. Now the problem is the state government, through acts of omission and commission, are allowing the rampant illegal activities of the various underground factions. Not the IM alone. So until the people of Nagaland realize that we are responsible for the state of the matter, there's going to be no change.
Right.
Because stakeholders, when you say stakeholders, it's very vague.
Right.
So it is for the young people of Nagaland to realize the state of the matter and act accordingly. Before, as Mr. KK Sema said, see, we are in the pressure cooker, ready to explode any moment. So this is something
Right.
I want to prevent.
Let me turn to. I have the last 5 minutes at my disposal. Let me turn to Mr. Azo. Mr. Azo, now it's a good thing that the NSCN-IM has decided to continue with the talks. So it can also be interpreted. It can also be interpreted that the NSCN-IM still hopes that despite their demand, there is going to be a meeting point. In negotiations, everybody knows that there has to be a give and take. Mr. Ajo, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Ajo, now?
I cannot repeat once more.
No.
Kindly repeat it. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that NSCN-IM has not withdrawn from the talks. They are still agreed. They are agreeable to continue with the talks. That means it can also be looked upon as a positive thing because NSCN-IM still hopes that there can be a meeting point because in a negotiation it has to be a give and take approach.
Right? You see, they agreeing to continue with the talks is positive. But holding on to the flag and constitution has brought it to a stalemate. So if they want to continue, they should try to come down to a meeting point with the government of India. That is the popular demand of the general publics. Because at the end of the day, Nagas want to see a solution, a settlement. They want to see peace, prosperity in their land.
Right. Mr. Sema, final comments from you. Positive development is that, NSCN-IM is going to continue with the discussions.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes. Yes.
I can't hear you at all.
You carry on. You can, please carry on. Okay, he can't hear me. KK Sema now can't hear me. Kahuto, final comments from you, Mr. Kahuto Sisi Sumi. This is a positive development at the end of the day. Because we cannot lose hope, isn't it?
Of course, we must always hang on to hope, but I think Mr. K.K. Sema said it perfectly. They are comfortable with the way things are. So they will stick to the flag and constitution. They will keep on talking. They will not abrogate the ceasefire, and we will see how much patience the people of Nagaland have.
Right. Absolutely. Mr. Sema, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Sema, can you hear me? Mr. Sema, can you hear me? Okay, this brings to the end of this discussion. I am absolutely running out of time. Now the point is, we have discussed this with great difficulty because of the audio lines and because of telecommunication networks on a day when the NSCN-IM had their very, very rare National Assembly meeting attended by almost 2,000 of their members, where they have adopted a resolution saying that there cannot be any solution without the flag and the constitution for the Naga people. That is, to some people, leaders like Mr. Azo Nenyu says that their distant dream, the solution is a distant dream, and he predicts that there is going to be a stalemate. But other leaders, activists and commentators and leaders of influential organizations like the Naga Mothers Association, Dr. Rosemary Zuvisu, saying that it should not be looked at that way, that the government of India also has to walk the extra mile to understand the position of the NSCN-IM, and leaders like Mr. Kahuto talking about they're trying to make a distinction between the Nagas in Nagaland and the Nagas in Manipur. Mr. Sema had also talked about that in today's discussions. So is there an attempt at changing the narrative, or is there already a narrative on that lines? But at the end of the day, a solution may pose challenges. There may be fresh challenges, but yes, Assam Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, who is also the NEDA convener, is going to be drawn into the Naga peace process, with Mr. Ajo tonight confirming that the core committee on the Naga peace talks is going to meet Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma at a resort in Dimapur on the 2nd of June. So since the meeting is at 6 p.m. in the evening, one can assume that this is going to be a long meeting between the core committee of the Naga peace talks and Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. So will Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma be the political facilitator of the Naga peace talks? I end my show tonight with this question. I thank all my panelists for participating in the show despite the challenges posed by our connectivity, and of course the viewers for watching the program. Good night and goodbye.